The IRS and the US government cannot get on the same page about 1099 thresholds for the year 2025 reporting for our current 2024 income, and they don't have a solution. What should you do? How should you handle it? And how are they going to handle it for your sales on eBay and other platforms? We're going to find out in the video today in just 1 minute. What's going on, Rockstars? Welcome to the channel. Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. And as always, thank you for being here. This video is super important. You heard me intro this. It is the IRS and the government kind of against each other for the new 1099 tax reporting threshold. This one is super serious, so pay attention to this video to the end. There's a lot we got to cover. So if you are new to this channel or new to reselling or new to being an entrepreneur or self-employed, let's talk about the 1099 threshold. If you have been on my channel before, hang with me here because there's a lot of updates to this. So if you sell over $20,000 and 200 transactions, that's 20,000 and 200 items, you will receive a 1099 under the old law that's been around forever. That 1099 simply tells the IRS how much you sold. Total gross. It doesn't tell them anything else. So it doesn't mean that you owe taxes. It simply means you have to report it, right? And so you could do 20,000, only make 5,000 in profit and be in the 20% tax bracket, which means you owe $1,000 and you could have some more expenses and drop it all the way down to a couple $100, right? It doesn't mean you're necessarily in tax trouble. If you don't do 200 transactions, you could do 21 grand on one item. You could sell a motorcycle on eBay and it's your one transaction for the year. You're not going to get a 1099 under the old transaction history because you have to do over 200. Well, in 2021, the Democrats, and I'm not getting political here, this is just simple facts, which I'll show you in a minute. The facts are, in 2021 after COVID, the Democratic Party, as part of their CARE Act, that bill to help with money and spending, introduced a $600 threshold, any number of transactions, to drop the 1099 requirement. So that requirement just says that platforms like eBay, Poshmark, PayPal, all those platforms have to send you a 1099 if you hit that threshold, right? And so they want to drop it to $600. And that was 21, supposed to start in 22. Well, the IRS didn't think that was fair. Platforms really pushed back. There wasn't enough time to prepare because it was not presented until, I believe, the end of 21. And so they were able to get it delayed. Outside of 22, they were actually able to get it delayed out of 23 for 2 years. And then they said, let's do a $5,000 threshold. That seems more reasonable. Well, it was never actually put into writing. It was never actually a law. The law, which is the $600 one, is actually law. And that's what they're supposed to go by. The 5,000 was just, we're going to do 5,000 and then we'll do 600. Except nobody actually put that down in writing. Nobody actually got together and said, hey, we should probably hammer this out. And so the other day, if you remember, like a week or two ago, I made a video where I was on eBay's site reading about their 1099 threshold, and it said 600. And I said, well, wait a minute. The government said they're going to do 5,000. Is eBay, drunk? Like, what's going on? And then I got to thinking about it, and I was like, well, eBay is going off of what the law actually says. eBay is going off of what it's supposed to be. They should be doing this. And when I read you this part of this article from Bloomberg in a minute, and I dug deeper on other websites and read a lot of stuff from VIT and from Reddit, it's true. That's the law. And the IRS pushing it off, they're actually going against the law. That's pretty crazy. But the 5,000 was just a suggestion. It literally was never put in writing or put in law or put in anything. So we have to assume, and that's what they're saying here, we have to assume that next year you're going to get a 1099 if you did over $600. Now, whether or not the platforms, and it looks like eBay is going to abide by this, whether or not the other platforms are on board with this or whether they go with the 5,000, I don't think there'll be any kind of consequences for them if they don't send you one, but assume that a majority of them probably are, and you may or may not get one. Now, I have to preface this video, of course, by telling you I'm not a CPA accountant. I'm not a tax attorney. I can't give you legal or financial advice. So just keep that in mind. This is just based off of the laws and my experience and what I do. I've been doing this a long time. So, yeah, we have to assume 600 or above. Now, the government and the IRS need to get together on this. They need to make an official announcement. They need to let the American public know. They also, and feel free to use this video, US government, if you're listening, they also need to put out a video like this video that I'm making right now that you're about to watch, which has a ton of information that you're going to hear in a second. They need to put this out to the American people so the people understand. Now that threshold for $600 is really, really low. It's not because you shouldn't be reporting everything, because you should. But let's say that you and your roommate split the bills and they send you $200 every month for the electric, the water, the internet, the trash, whatever, right? That's $2,400 a year your roommate's going to send you. With the new $600 threshold, you're going to get a 1099. With the $5,000 threshold, or a $10,000, which has been proposed, I'll read it to you in a minute, you wouldn't get one, right? Now, let's say for a minute that your roommate sends you the $2,400 for the bills. Let's say you're going out to dinner and pizza and people are Venmoing you and you do hit the $5,000 because of all the other transactions you've done. You're going to get a 1099 with all these transactions, but none of it's reportable. Anything personal doesn't count. You don't have to report any of that stuff. Now, if you sold, say you get all your bills and your pizza money and it's $3,000 or $4,000, and then you sold $2,000 over on, Facebook Marketplace, and you meet people and they Venmo you money, you would just report the $2,000, even though you went over. Your 1099 would say $5,000 because you got $3,000 from the other stuff and $2,000 from your sales. You only have to report the $2,000 that was the business sales, right? What you sold on Facebook or whatever. People don't know that. The American public does not know how this works. They're not going to understand why they're getting a 1099. People that are drawing Social Security, retired, they're not going to understand why the government, they're used to selling, $1,000 a month on eBay. They're $12,000. They never got a 1099 because they never hit 20 grand. They're all of a sudden going to get a 1099 regardless. They're not going to understand why they're getting this or what they're doing. They're going to freak out. CPAs are going to love this because people are going to be calling CPAs going, I don't know what to do with this, right? They don't understand it. They don't understand they don't have to report this personal income. They only have to report the business income. They also don't understand that just because you did $12,000 in sales and you profited $6,000 and you're a 20% tax bracket means you owe $1,200, but you had some other expenses and overhead. So now you only owe $600. They're going to get a bill. They're going to get a 1099 saying $12,000 and go, oh my God, I owe the IRS thousands of dollars. No, you probably owe them a couple $100 because you didn't really profit that much, right? Or maybe you didn't profit anything. Again, they don't know how that works. Please, government, put out a video. Feel free to use mine. Link me to YouTube. Speaking of, guys, at the end of this video, when you're done watching, if you could share this to your Facebook groups, your Instagram, your TikToks, your Twitters, your whatever you use, it would mean a lot because a lot of people need this information. They need to understand this. And if you can safely, without getting kicked out of Facebook groups or without, getting banned off of whatever, please link this video. It's super important. It helps the algorithm. It helps me, and it helps people understand what's really going on because a lot of people don't. They're so scared. They're so intimidated, and they're so confused. Just please help them. I hope this is as clear as it can be. And so that's where we're at with this. They haven't actually set the threshold, so we have to assume that it's going to be 600. And when you get it, you don't have to report your personal income. I got a buddy that set up fantasy football league for us. There's 10 of us, and it's $100 a person. So he collected $900, and under the $600 threshold, he's going to get a 1099 for that. And I'm sure he does Venmo with his buddies when he's out paying for dinners or drinks. We've gone out to dinners, and he, collected money for the bar tab or for the tip. Here's $20 for the tip. Here's $50 for the tip. He collects money every month, and it's hundreds of dollars, and he's going to get a 1099. And the guy's smart. He has a W-2 job, but he has an accountant, I'm pretty sure. But he's going to get this and go, what the hell? Why is Venmo sending me a 1099, right? So it's not a big deal to him. But the point is, a lot of people are going to get this and have no idea what's going on. And so we have to get this taken care of. We need an official announcement. And like I said, it wasn't put in law for the 5,000. So we have to assume the 600 is going to be what happens. Let me read you this story from Bloomberg, this little quick excerpt from here. And this is from a young lady she put out yesterday, Erin Slowey from Bloomberg, which is super popular. It's super reputable, and they're generally right. Listen to this craziness from this website, and I'll link it down below so you guys can read it afterwards. I want to cut this video soon so it's not too long and you guys can watch it. So eBay and Venmo and other people are going by the January 2021 law that drastically lowers the threshold for companies from $20,200 to $600. Again, not political. It's factual. The Democrats introduced that bill that dropped it to $600. And I'm going to explain why they did it in just one second. While the new threshold doesn't change what anyone owes, it does change what companies report and which tax forms a casual seller receives. The e-commerce industry has warned that more taxpayers may over-report and be at a greater risk for audits. That threshold drop, which was set to take place in the 2022 tax year, we just talked about, it got delayed, left taxpayers scrambling to collect the right information. 2 years later, uncertainty remains. And it's a huge issue for the community, said Ashley Schillingsberg. She's the head of eBay's federal government regulations. They actually pushed back against this, so thank eBay for that. They did help get this delayed, and they tried to get it lowered. Or tried to keep it higher, not get it lowered, excuse me. It needs to be an actual legal notice, says Ryan Ellis, who's the president of the Center for Free Economy and lobbyist for the 1099K Coalition, a group of companies working to change the threshold. We have to assume we're in a $600 year unless something changes. By law, that's what is supposed to happen. Legislative action would be more permanent fix to avoid the chaos, but a chance for Congress to take it up this year at Deming. Remember, they would have to have it done by the end of the year, by January 1st. We are getting a new Congress, new Senate, and new president in January, the end of January, the 21st, 20th, whatever day inauguration day is. So they're not going to get anything done by the end of the year. So whatever the law is now is what it's going to be. So if they wanted to put the 5,000 in writing, it's not going to get done in time. It may be done in time for next year, for 2025, for the 1099s we'll receive in 26, but it's not going to get done now. I assure you that. Dustin Stamper, who's the managing director at Grant Thornton, says he's not particularly optimistic about a lame duck fix. So a lame duck fix in the government is when we're switching over. We're kind of in between. He's right. It's not going to happen. Everyone should be preparing for that $5,000 threshold to be in place next year, not this year. And even if they got legislation, Democrats would be inclined not to go much lower than that anyways. Now, that's weird. He says they won't go lower than 5,000, but they're the ones that put the 600 in the CARE Act. So just saying. Democrats in the 2021 American Rescue Plan Act lowered the threshold to $600 for e-commerce companies must send the 1099K form to users and the IRS. The goal was to raise revenue and increase tax compliance, especially among gig workers. Yeah, so people like Uber drivers, DoorDash drivers who were making, $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month, making 12, 15 grand, not getting 1099s, not reporting their income, not paying taxes. So that's what they were intending on catching, not $600 from your neighbor for pizza, right? Or the movie theaters. Though the IRS decision to delay the 600 was seen as a benefit, it drew fire from lawmakers and tax professionals who said it was outside the agency's authority to ignore the law's directive. Yeah, so the IRS is kind of overstepping their boundaries because they're delaying it, even though the law says this is what should be being sent right now. Everyone should be sending $600 1099s and not delaying it. The IRS has already pushed the bounds of their authority as far as it will go. Even though we may not love the $600 threshold, I don't know that they have any more authority to push it off any further. There's also been three alternate ideas. So a bill from Representative Carol Miller, she's a Republican from West Virginia, would take the threshold back to the original $20,000. Representative Chris Pappas, he's a Democrat from New Hampshire, wants to raise it to $5,000. That's fair. And Senator Sherrod Brown, the Democrat from Ohio, and Bill Cassidy, I'm familiar with him, is a Republican from Louisiana, proposed legislation to create a $10,000 threshold, which was the only bipartisan option there. So I think that 5,000 is probably fair because that will get rid of all the little pizza and movie theater and drink transaction people getting 1099s. I think that 10,000 is probably a little too high. 5,000 is probably fair because then people really start doing gig work, start hitting those numbers, and they'll get those 1099s that they should be reporting. For Republicans, this is going to be competing with everything else you have to do next year when you're trying to write a tax bill. So get it done now, Ellis says. Adding for that, he's telling Democrats about how this was an unintended consequence of them trying to catch tax cheats. This is a 2024 issue, Schillingsberg said. So that was the point, to catch tax cheats. But unintendedly, they are forcing this upon people just exchanging pizza money and roommate money and stuff that doesn't really matter, selling your personal clothes out of your closet. A question I'm going to get in the comment section, as always, is what if I sell stuff that I don't have the receipts for? It's really old. I've worn it. That's personal stuff. You don't have to report that. You're not making income. You didn't make a profit. No need to report it. If you bought it as inventory and you decided to wear it and then you ended up selling it for less or at a profit, then you could have to report it, but write off all the expenses on it. So again, I'm not a CPA or a tax attorney. All right, I'll leave you with the video there. As always, please leave me your opinions in the comment section. What should it be? Should it be 600, 5,000, 10, 20,000? Where should that threshold be and why? And how do you think they're going to handle it? Are they going to put out an official notice that we're back in the $600 year? Do you think the platforms are going to send the 600 out? Because I think that's what's going to happen. A lot of platforms are going to issue the $600 1099s. If they don't, I don't think there'll be any consequences for them. Nobody's going to do anything to them if they decide to do it at 5,000. They're going to go, oh my God, do it at 600, unless they change it to 5,000 next year. So that's the video. I appreciate you guys watching. Like I said, please share this to as many people as you can. That would mean the most to me. Hit the like button and subscribe. It helps the algorithm and it'll push this video out to more people as well on YouTube. And if you need help with your eBay store, rockstarflipper@gmail.com is my email. I have 1 week, 2 week, and 4 week plans. I will coach you. I will audit. I will review your store. Get it ready for Black Friday, get it ready for the Christmas shopping season, and get you more sales. Rockstarflipper@gmail.com. Enjoy your Tuesday and the rest of your week, you guys. Be safe, make money, be productive, and until next time, I'll see you later.